Good evening, mga kalaro, and welcome to the Council of Titos, the show on the Laro-Laro channel that talks about a different kind of game, the reality TV game show and social experiment that has run for 25 years, Survivor. I'm Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon, and with me, as always, is Juxtapotito Jao Atienza. What's up, Jao? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Uncle JP.
Uncle JP. Actually, that's a note that I have. Yeah, I am a JP, right?
Tito JP.
Tito JP and Uncle JP, you know. Yeah, it's your Titos JA and JP in the house. And that is something that I wanted to point out. I'll talk a little bit about it later. But yeah, that whole thing about me and apparently Jeff Probst sharing initials. Anyway, tonight we will give our thoughts about season 48, episode 10, entitled "My Enemies Are Plotting." It has to be that way, right? It can't just be "My Enemies Are Plotting."
Yes.
Yeah. But before we begin, do consider hitting the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you get updated whenever we come up with new episodes on this channel. And for those of you who don't want to have to look at our mugs, but just want to hear our soothing voices whenever we talk Survivor, you can go to counciloftitos.com. And so, without further ado, let's begin. Right. So yeah, we talked about it already. So I'll go ahead. And I just that was actually the first time that I realized that Probes and I actually share initials. when Star pointed it out. Thank you, Star, for pointing it out. Right? And
have to check his name now.
no, I did. I actually checked his name. And here's another funny coincidence. I don't know if it's funny or if it's a coincidence. Him and Australian Survivor host, they share actual initials.
Yeah, they're both JLP.
JLPs. Right? So that was just that blew my mind. So it's Jeff Lee Probst and Jonathan Lapaglia. So yeah, you think that factored into them casting JLP in Aussie Survivor?
For sure. 100% sure. Without question.
Without question. He has to have initials JLP, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that it's an Easter egg like 25 seasons down.
Let's see. Let's look at. I'm going to look at the other survivors. Right?
Mhm.
South Africa Survivor. Let's see what the dude's name is. The host is. Huh. Wait, where is it?
I'm guessing that it's not JLP.
No, it's not.
It's not. But just going with the whole, JP, JLP, does that mean that it's in my destiny that I'm going to host Survivor Philippines?
Yes.
We
can
only
be JRP.
JRP, right? Tito JRP. Right? Yeah.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
Right? That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Thank you to Star. Thank you to Star for pointing that out. And speaking of Star, I think because right after the episode, I messaged you right away that I kind of like this episode, and then you said, "Huh, that's kind of different from the whole internet verse." And my opinion of that is because I think a lot of people just didn't like the episode because Star got voted out.
I mean, that's why I didn't like it.
I mean, we have to admit, Star is so good for TV. Right, the few times that we actually saw her, during confessionals, she was good for TV, and during Tribal, she had a lot of really, well, not epic, but really notable things, memorable things, to say, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's also colored by like your canonical winner pick. That this was a great episode for Joe.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
This was a great episode for Joe and Eva, which is also, I think, part of the reason that people don't like this half, the back half of the season, as much as the front half, um, because the gameplay is kind of boring,
Mm.
right? It's like a
It's too
majority
straightforward.
alliance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's too straightforward.
Yeah, like basically a pagonging without it being a pagong. It's
Hmm.
like the major alliance comes in and just steamrolls everybody, which, you know,
Well, with the
isn't
exception of David.
oh yeah, with the exception of David. Um but I think that's also where a lot of it comes from, where a lot of the distaste for this episode in particular comes from. There isn't very much cool gameplay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And on the subject of Star in particular, like I don't know what her story is.
Yeah, yeah. We really didn't get a lot out of Star, and I don't even think we got a flashback for Star. Did we?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
I don't
I
quite
don't really
remember.
know. I don't really have much about like her story. She would be a great candidate for one of those second chances type seasons.
Mm. Mm. Because I mean, at pre-season she did come out as one of those more loud. She was sort of like a Rome type characters
Yeah.
where that was gonna be loud and everything, but the volume of Star's personality didn't necessarily go through in the episodes. It's as if she was. It's either the the editors did her dirty by not showing what she can do or what she did in camp, or she's only really able to do that in certain situations. She's only able to be loud in certain situations.
Or the editors were doing her a favor, because like one of the things that I kind of noticed, but that kind of stuck out to me, was people like didn't seem to like her that much on the island.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah. Well, we've got Eva, and she was on the outs right away from on
Yeah.
what was there Lagi? Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like it's one of those things where I guess if you're with somebody 24/7, and their
Mm,
personalities don't necessarily jive, that that doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't like that person
mm-hmm,
outside of the game, but sort of within the game it might not be the best thing. I can think of some of my close friends who I'd probably be like wanting to slit their throat in the middle of the night, if we're on Survivor together, and I'm pretty sure they feel the same way about me.
mm-hmm.
So maybe her personality, at least a 24/7 personality, wasn't jiving with people, but then at the same time there are also people that found her to be like so funny and
Mm,
like engaging and sociable and all of that. So it's kind of weird, right?
mm.
um i i i I'm gonna take away um flowers from the Survivor editors again. I'm sorry, Survivor editors.
Give
I'm gonna have
them
to take
give
your
them
flowers
weeds.
away. Yeah.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
we really didn't get to see Star before her rolled out, and I think that there might have been something there. The what little pre-season promos I saw of Star made it seem like she was gonna leave a mark on the season. Well, she did.
Yeah.
She sang a couple of bars, right? So yeah, that's gonna leave a mark
Yeah.
for the season on the season. But yeah, nothing throughout the whole. How long has it been? Throughout her time on the island or in the
17
islands,
days, 18 days, thereabouts.
yeah,
Yeah.
nothing really big from Star outside of giving Eva that idol.
Yeah.
That's really actually just it. Right?
I
And
have a question. What do
mm,
you think of how Kyle played it? How Kyle's sort of performance in the episode, social strategy,
mm-hmm,
all of that, where um it's like, yo, Camilla, I can't take out Joe,
mm.
but I can totally like clear a path for you to take him out.
in on one hand, that was pretty deft. I think that Kyle is at that point in the game where he feels that he's like in the middle.
Mm.
So he can't ruffle the feathers of the ones on top right now. That's Joe and Eva and even Shaheen. We predicted that Joe and Eva were going to be on the bottom, but they're still on top. But yeah, he can't really ruffle the feathers of those in the power position. But he's also not averse to those in the bottom coming up with something to upend the ones on top. He feels like he's walking a tightrope. I guess that's the metaphor that I'm going to use
Mm.
there. He's walking a tightrope. He does not wanna take a wrong step, otherwise he's gonna fall, right? So he's I don't know. I think though that him, if that was really his intention, not choosing Mitch, was it Mitch, Star, and Mary to go with him on the reward? That
Mm-hmm.
could have been good, but he should have left out Camilla as well. He should have left if he really wanted Camilla to start making moves, right? Then he should have brought, I don't know, he should have probably brought not Camilla, right? Maybe Mary,
Yeah.
because Mary is for sure going to be against the top already. So if he wanted to open a path for Camilla to work her way into making a revolution, Star was also like
Yeah.
on that end, right? And he could have left Camilla and Star to work on Mitch, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, he was being deft, but in a way, he made a misstep. I think that he was thinking, okay, this is my way of showing my loyalty to my actual number one. That's why I chose you to be part of the reward. And then maybe later on, he realized, shoot, strategically, that's not going to help her. She's not going to be able to talk to the people she needs to talk to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. He could have probably should have taken Mary. Like looking at it. Yeah, he probably should have. Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh well. It's, I don't know. I don't know whether or not it was a good move. Like, what's his? I'm thinking about his path to the end. Like, I feel
Mm,
like his path to the end is with, um, was with, Camilla, Mitch, and Star.
yeah.
Like that was his path to the million.
This would have been the prime time for him, the prime moment for him to actually do the flipping.
Yeah. So like now, if we're gonna have to get, or not now, if we're gonna flip, it's gonna have to be, Kyle and Shaheen.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to have to be the both of them. You could also argue that he was probably, because he thinks that he can probably take out Joe or Eva or both later on. He also wanted to somehow manage them this early so that if
Mm,
they do end up on the jury, he can say that I was loyal to you. They
yeah.
wanted you guys out earlier, but I said that I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
Right?
that was he said as much to Camilla, right? Like
Mm.
he's burned everybody in the jury already,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh,
So we'll see how for now it seems it's up in the it's we can't really like define the success that he had with how he did things, because we don't know what's gonna happen next yet. But
yeah,
it's like a Schrodinger's move. It's both
yeah.
good and bad, dead and alive. Right?
In the state of quantum superposition,
Hmm.
Kyle, quantum superposition guy. Like
He's
I feel like I feel like that's where we are in this season right now. Like it isn't like uh it's going to be boil. It's going to boil down to the end, whether or not this is remembered as a good season or not.
Mm.
Right? Like um Gabler's season, regardless of who won, great season.
Mm.
Like you didn't need to have you know Gabler,
Mm.
right? Like all of the characters were great, all of that, right? So like that's one of those seasons where um the journey doesn't the quality of the journey doesn't depend on the destination.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like this particular season, at least for the back half of it, the quality of the journey really does depend on the destination.
Mm. Mm. So it will depend on how, and yeah, I think that a lot of it really hangs on how Kyle and Shaheen, and to an extent Camilla, perform in the next couple of episodes, right?
Yeah.
Uh, are is is Kyle gonna stay loyal? Is Shaheen gonna stay loyal? Is Camilla finally gonna be able to find a way to break either Shaheen or Kyle away from the top four? Right? It's a because there is still an out there because right now there's just seven of them. If Camilla gets either Shaheen or Kyle to vote with the three of them on the bottom, they have majority, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He still, yeah, true. He still does have an out. Hmm.
Mm.
So there. Basically, Survivor 48 in a state of quantum superposition. It's got the same sort of ring as Survivor 50 in the
Mhm.
hands of the
In the
fans.
hands of the fans. Yeah. And speaking of the, the decisions that they needed to make, again, it's like a couple of weeks passed already, but the group from Australian Survivor did the whole chicken game to rocks better, right? You had
Yeah.
right. They were able to. They had it required two sociopaths to get them to rocks, but here it's like people are so afraid for their own games. Right? Mitch was so afraid for his own game that he couldn't like think of going to rocks because he didn't trust the others enough. He didn't trust
Yeah.
Mary and Star enough that they were going to go to rocks. He probably thought that they were going to vote him out or something.
Yeah. So I guess it really depends on like if like I said, man, if Mitch wins this season, like
Mm.
like all is forgiven. Like this we could be looking back on this episode and being like, you know what, we thought it was like a really dumb move on Mitch's part, but he got to the end, he won, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, could be, could be.
Could be. Yeah.
The thing that really annoyed me though was looking at the little blurb for the episode. Um, right, my enemies are plotting. Rice negotiation with Jeff is completed in almost record time. Two players on the bottom begin to target each other.
Mm.
That, was that not a kind of a spoiler? I was kind of spoiled by it. Like we know it's not gonna be we know it's not gonna be Joe, Eva, Kyle, or Shaheen at that point.
Mm.
And so you know, like towards the beginning of the episode, they were like, "Oh, is it gonna be Joe? Is it gonna be like?" But you spoiled it already. Survivor production taking back another flower.
Oh no, the bouquet is thinning out. But yeah, well, I didn't get to read that, but then again, who knows? They might have been referring to a different two people in the bottom, right? I don't know.
Yeah. So honestly, I didn't like this episode as much as some of those pre-merge episodes. And again, that's speaking to the strength of the pre-merge.
Mm, mm. And
Maybe,
the
yeah.
moments that we got in the pre-merge. Speaking of moments from the pre-merge, funny coincidence. This is also just because I recently finished watching it for the nth time. Uh, Eva's last name is actually Erickson,
Mhm.
uh, and she comes from Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, and again, just because I recently finished watching the series again, another famous Erickson actually comes from Minnesota. The
Mm-hmm.
character of Marshall Erickson from How I Met Your Mother. So is Erickson such a like a is it a name from a Minnesota name? All right.
Could be.
Is Eva the real life daughter of Marshall Erickson? And then we find out that Eva's dad is actually named Marshall. Right. So a lot of funny coincidences in this episode. JOP, Erickson, right? All these things. Yeah.
There were like a couple of really cool players from Minnesota. If I
Mm,
um if I remember. Well, anyway,
mm,
let me look that up.
yeah.
Let me.
Oh, what do you think about the change that they made to the challenge that they used for the reward challenge? We saw it in the Andy season where he bit the ball, he bit the buoy. Now they
Yeah,
all have to bite something. They all have to bite the ring to bring the buoy across.
yeah, yeah. Andy, game changer.
Game changer, right? He's gonna be in season 50 for sure because of that. Because of him, they changed the mechanics of the game, right? So, so yeah, but where did I hear it? I think it was from Rap. Where oh no, or I know it was from No Buffs where they were like complaining about why did they do that for the challenge where they had to bite something to bring it across, and they were wriggling all over the sand, so it's inevitable that they're gonna have sand in their mouth while they're bringing the buoys over to the end, right?
Hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sandy mouthfuls for the castaways. But yeah, I think that that was actually a pretty good change because it I noticed it last season. Yeah, it was just last season, right? What where and I think we pointed it out in the episode where even though it wasn't quite clear what the rules were, did they need to push the buoy with their shoulder, or were they allowed to hang on to it with their hands? Because I actually saw one of the
Hmm.
castaways move it with his arm and not with the shoulder, right? And then we had Andy biting into the buoy. I guess they streamlined it.
Yeah, they're like, might as well not. Let's make an arbitrary restriction that way. We don't get the undesired outcome.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, they said that Andy bit the ball. I disagree. I think he nudged it along with his tongue.
So him opening his mouth that wide was not necessarily to bite into the ball. It was just so that he could push it with his tongue.
Yeah.
Right? He was flicking it forward with his tongue. Yeah,
Yes.
that tracks. That
Exactly.
tracks.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
You know, because of yeah, I think about that film Kung Pao. If you've seen that film,
I think I have. I think I have. Yeah,
yeah, he has like a little face on his tongue.
yeah, yeah.
And so, like in my head canon, that's what Andy was doing, was like using his tongue to go.
And then his tongue would be like cursing in Filipino,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, makes perfect sense actually.
Right.
Totally checks out. Yeah, I was right.
Mhm.
Carolyn is from Minnesota. Carolyn from
Oh yeah.
24.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, of all of the Minnesota players from like sort of recent survivors, she has the thickest accent, the
Mm.
thickest like Minnesota accent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I guess Eva's got removed when she went to university, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, yeah. The reward challenge, and then you had the reward, the chicken and waffles. No Buffs also had some notes about how little time they devoted to the chicken and waffles. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of chicken and waffles, what was up with that jingle, right? Before the reward challenge, chicken and waffles. They're savory, they're sweet, they're all I wanna eat. Are they trying to come up with like a Survivor single sometime soon with all of the songs from the new era, right?
They have like what's it? They're gonna be able to put out like an album on Spotify and get that like
Yeah,
get them sweet streaming residuals.
yeah. So you've got the Shan hum over the seasons. What have happened? What else?
Uh,
We've had a couple,
the
right?
yeah, they're really good ones. The one from earlier this season with Shaheen.
Hmm.
Um, there was the one with oh man, what's his name? He's like an actor, the actor with cool braided hair.
I forget.
Um, let me
But
let me
anyway,
look
yeah,
that up. But yeah, it was
they
they have
would have a lot of content for that already, right? So
yeah.
Survivor production. You heard it here first, Jeff.
We know
Uh,
you're listening.
yeah, we know you're listening, Uncle JP, Jeff Probst. This is Tito JP telling you, come up with that album, man. Put it on Spotify.
There's Soda and Tevin. Soda
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
Tevin
okay,
had
yeah,
that.
yeah,
There
yeah,
was
yeah,
that was a
yeah, yeah,
really good song
yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so you've got that, and then you've got already three from this two from this episode. Or
Yeah,
was it three? Right. So you've got Shaheen's with a what do you call it? With it's
with
savory, it's sweet.
Chance.
Yeah. And then you've got Star with a two song. Star had two songs.
Yeah, she did.
My enemies are plotting, and then the song that she sang after the vote out, right? So yeah, they can come up with an album. The New Era. It's such a band name. The New Era, right?
Yeah, dude, that sounds like a mid to late 2000s indie band. You know, sort of
Yeah,
like the Strokes, the
yeah.
you know the Hives
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. The new era.
The New Era. Right. Yeah. So yeah. So again, Uncle JP. This is Tito JP saying, put it on Spotify. Yeah. And yeah, just okay. So you've been taking out flowers from production's bouquet. I'm gonna add one flower. That's slow mo in the immunity challenge. That's slow mo with the bee and the fly almost getting Joe. You know, and they even like foreshadowed it with him saying "Get away, fly!" Right before we
Yeah,
got the
yeah,
slow mo. That was pretty good that they included that shot, him saying that line, and then later on we see the. I I thought it was just gonna be a fly, but then again there was like it was a bee or a wasp that was like flying really close to him. And I'm like, is he gonna get stung? That's showing you the stakes, right?
yeah,
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
yeah. But yeah, it's um what what it because like there are some moments I think where when we give Survivor editors and production their flowers, we're giving them like bouquets, man. We're giving them like roses, like after this amazing, you know, performance, like you know, like after an amazing theatrical performance, you throw a bouquet at the
Mm-hmm.
leading lady as she comes out for the curtain call and all of that. Sometimes we get that, and other times we give them a coralillo,
Mm.
like that little red flower.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
With
yeah,
it's sweet, but it
yeah,
doesn't make for much of a bouquet.
yeah. So yeah, that was pretty, and that's probably what attracted the bee.
Exactly.
The nectar from that flower, right? So yeah,
Oh
and
man.
yeah, one thing that I what do you call this? That I miss from tribal is Jeff calling out the members of the jury, the names of of the members. Now he
Mm.
just says, "And here are the members of our jury," and then they
Yeah,
just
no.
walk in.
Yeah.
Before he would call out each and every name. I mean, JLP still does it.
Right.
Still calls out every name, and then he says, "And David voted out of the last tribal council." Over
Yeah,
Ponderosa.
yeah. Yeah, Jeff Uncle JP doesn't do that anymore.
No, he doesn't. He hasn't been doing it. I don't know why, but it adds a little bit more drama, right? And
Yeah.
then you have that whole face of David, that whole stern face. That I don't know why he decided to go with that face, trying to look stern, trying to look menacing and whatever. He
Looks
was really
like
trying to.
after his boot, it looked like he was about to stab somebody and it
Yeah,
just carried over.
just carried over.
Like,
And
oh
then we
man.
find out in Ponderosa, he's like all having fun, having the time of his life. He just like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going on camera. I have to like daggers, daggers, right? But yeah,
Yeah. Internalizing it.
yeah.
Internalizing the character of like angry, bitter jury survival player or survivor player. Do you think this is gonna be a bitter jury?
It's shaping out to be. And I think because by all intents, how does it go?
For all intents
Uh,
and purposes?
for all intents and purposes, it's supposed to be Cedric who's the mayor of Ponderosa, right? Because he's the first one out. But
Yeah,
it
but
looks like
then
David is gonna overpower him.
basically, yeah. Yeah, it looks like David is gonna have a lot of influence in Ponderosa.
Mhm.
I miss those
Mhm.
Ponderosa videos, man.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah. They
gives
should
so much
come. They
insight.
should put it out like on YouTube or something, right?
Yeah, there was that time they did those like little Instagram reel type things, and
Mm.
at least those had some insight. Like they don't have to be, produced like the jury villa segments of Australian Survivor, but
Yeah.
they could be that sort of in that sort of vloggy style, and you know have a couple of conversations, and just see them interacting with each other.
Yeah.
It would be interesting, right, to see like David interact with people, because that would reveal a lot about the vibe and how
Mm.
bitter this jury is going to end up being.
But then again, is that probably the reason why they're not showing it so that the viewers can't telegraph how the jury is going to behave come final tribal? Makes it
And
more of a
Survivor's been
mystery.
spoiling stuff left and right.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
the next
guess.
time on Survivor at this point is like the opposite of spoiler, right?
Mm.
Like if you just flip whatever it is they have on their head, there's your spoiler.
Yeah,
When
so
they were like, "Oh, David is going crazy," it was a huge nothing burger.
mhm.
And then when they totally didn't like call out, "Oh, David is being crazy," all of a sudden, "Oh, he's
He's
gone," right?
gone.
So it's like whatever the opposite is, Survivor is spoiling.
Mhm. So yeah, but yeah, the Ponderosa videos are missed. Definitely missed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that another but Survivor. It was in the Philippines, right? The one of the Survivor Philippines Ponderosa videos was like super, super bitter. I can't
Mm.
remember who it was, but yeah,
Yeah.
one of the ones here.
Well, uh, I don't know why though. They're in the Philippines. They're in paradise. Uh, yeah.
Mm, yeah. But no,
Anyway.
seriously though, I really do have to say, like, people that like aren't from the Philippines
Mhm.
come to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Beaches are amazing, dude.
Exactly.
Like, ooh,
Yeah.
especially up like up north and down south. Just like
Mhm.
just skip Manila altogether.
True. It's true. That's
Just
true.
skip Manila altogether, and fly in through like
Clark
Clark,
or
right?
Subic. Yeah.
Clark
No,
or
Clark.
like
It's Clark
Cebu.
or yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, fly in
Just
through
don't
Clark or Cebu.
just don't do a Vitali thing though. You're gonna get
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
Russian that Russian
Oh
vlogger
yeah,
video.
of course. That was such a proud moment for me. Like this is one of those moments that I am proud to be a
Mm-hmm.
Filipino when they were like,
Same here.
if he didn't, he didn't last like a week.
Did not last. That was probably his first. That was his first vlog in the Philippines, and then all of a sudden he's arrested. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Uh,
doesn't pay to, and to think we were talking about it in different off air, like how nobody in their right mind would do something like what Johnny Somali was doing in
yeah.
Korea here in the Philippines. And then all
Yeah.
of a sudden it happens.
Yeah. It's the fault of Japan, right? Because like Japan is too nice.
It's too
Like
nice, yeah.
Japanese people are too non-confrontational,
Hmm.
and that somehow gets mapped to the whole of like the eastern part of the map.
Hmm.
When really Koreans, man, those guys are insane. Like Filipinos, man, we're super nice, but then
Mm.
like we're not really. you
Yeah,
know?
a lot of foreigners, especially when they like do their vlogs here, they always like point out how Filipinos are very nice, are very welcoming, are very warm. Just don't cross us. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even the guys with the most tattoos here in the Philippines, they're really nice. Just don't cross them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just yeah, yeah. Don't don't Johnny Somali it up, man. Oh,
or Vitali, what's his name? Yeah.
yeah. Well, anyway.
So, so yeah, that could be it. Survivor, urban, urban metro. instead of a instead of an island somewhere, you're in the urban metro and you have to survive. If you're gonna do it here in the
Yeah,
Philippines, right?
exactly. Start in the US, start in somewhere like Detroit, right? And then
Mm,
eventually like, you know, you can, maybe do parts of like Los Angeles and stuff.
mm,
Because it's right in their backyard, right?
yeah.
Like try out the concept there, then eventually start moving out east. You know.
Yeah, again, Uncle JP. This is Tito JA and Tito JP telling you that's something that you should explore. We know that you're watching, we know you're listening. Yeah. Oh, this is something
Survivor
that,
in the
yeah.
capital of Timor Leste.
I mean, technically, they're closer to the Philippines now than they are to America. Fiji is closer to the Philippines than it is to California, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, yeah,
yeah. It is the Pacific. Yeah.
yeah. So it's not that far for them to come here. Anyway, uh,
I'm so sorry. I'm still thinking about like Survivor daily. Like,
Survivor, uh, Survivor, The Office. Anyway, this is something I have to point out. I just saw it in my notes. How do you feel about in Tribal when Jeff was talking to Star a lot about Shot in the Dark? He was. Do you think again? We talked about it that Jeff most likely knows what happens in camp.
mm,
Do you think that he was
yeah.
goading Star to play her shot in the dark? Or is it something that he knew that was on the minds of everyone? That's why he wanted to bring it up. He wanted it to come out. He wanted it to be discussed. Right?
I wouldn't be surprised if, um, in many like given how much Jeff Probst seems to have a hard on for the shot in the dark.
Mm.
Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he mentions it like every episode, like every tribal, because that thing apparently lasts like 2 to 3 hours, right?
Mm.
It's just this time, they knew that we were going to be asking about whether or not she played the shot. Why did she play the shot in the
Mm.
dark? All of that. So like
Mm.
they put that in. But if somebody plays the shot in the dark, I'm pretty sure Jeff has mentioned it
Mm.
in the tribal, right? And like they didn't include it in the final edit because it was played.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing is, I think that he's, yeah, you said you say that he's got a hard on for the shot in the dark. I think he was trying to justify the existence of the shot in the dark, right? And I think that he keeps on trying to justify it to players, and just as how his expectations have been were subverted during the rice negotiations, because he thought that more people were going to try and negotiate. People were like, no, we're not gonna negotiate, no one is sitting out. And I think that something like that also probably happened during this tribal. He was like, shot in the dark is always an option. No, it's not gonna happen. No one is laying their shot in the dark. Right? And he keeps on trying to, because it happened really well. I mean, no, not shot in the dark, but the rice negotiations, for example. He had a lot of mind blown moments from audiences, especially when he, like, pierced the sack of rice, that season when he did that, and the season when he, like, punched a hole in the sack of rice. He was probably expecting to do something similar to for this season, and all of a sudden his castaways are like, no, we are competing, right? So yeah, so even.
That's the season though. There are a bunch of like, you know, sportsmanship.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
know, it's a reflection of the season, I
yeah.
think. Like given a sneakier, you know, more dynamic season, I'm pretty sure that rice negotiation would have, played out a little bit differently. But this season, if everybody's trying to, if everybody um was kind of cognizant of the fact or the idea, if everybody has the idea that the jury is all about like loyalty and sportsmanship and
Mm,
honor and all of
mm.
that sort of thing, then, when the rights negotiation comes out, like, no, we are going to compete, we are going to fight with honor, for honor, yeah,
By honor.
yeah, on
Yeah.
honor, in honor of honor.
Honor. Yeah, so you're right. It is a sort of reflection of the season that we're having. Which suppose is it a reflection of society in general? I don't know.
Uh, no.
No.
American
Is it an
society
opposite
at the time.
reflection?
No.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else that you want to point out from this episode?
I'm just sad that Star is gone
Hmm.
too soon.
Gone
But
too
then
soon.
again, we feel that way about like everybody that gets booted off of Survivor. I don't
Mhm.
think there is ever like I don't think I've gone too soon.
Mhm.
Like even Rome, gone too
Mhm.
soon.
It would have been nice if you were able to wreak a little bit more havoc
Yeah,
on his season. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Star, we could have used a lot more of her antics. Well, not really antics. Her energy, the
yeah.
energy that she exuded during her confessionals, during tribal, all of those things. Because I mean, challenges, she has no business being in challenges. Whether it's in water, whether it's in balancing stuff, she could hardly keep one of her blocks in that immunity challenge.
The immunity one. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So yeah, but everything else, it would have been nice to see her interact with the others in camp. Outside of that swimming lesson that she got from Mitch, we
Mm.
didn't really quite see anything else. Yeah, and then I was puzzled when Joe said that Star is his kryptonite. It
Mm.
didn't. It wasn't earned for me. The fact that he called her his kryptonite, right? Because we didn't see any interaction between the two of them, right? Or not enough.
I have a. Would you happen to remember how Star gave um Eva her her idol.
They
Do you
were,
remember?
yeah, they were
Do
in
you
the
remember
swamp
what she
tribes.
said? Yeah, yeah. Do you remember? Do you remember what she said? Because I have like a little bit of a theory there. Um, like we know that Eva is on the autism spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
which, if I understand it correctly, means she isn't very good at um indirect communication,
Okay.
right? Like she would not survive in Asia because so much of our communication isn't what is said, but a lot
Yeah.
of it is,
Mm. How it's said, yeah, the nuances.
yeah, that that sort of thing. Um, we know that Star was offering an olive branch,
Mm-hmm.
and that's to people that are more used to that kind of communication, saying like, "Here is my idol. You solved it. It's yours." What that kind of means under the surface is, all right, now we're gonna have each other's backs,
Mm. Yeah.
right? Like to us as
It.
Asians, like
Yeah.
watching it, that is the most obvious
Mm.
thing that she is trying to say.
And I thought that that was how it was gonna happen, but yeah.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, like I was thinking about this earlier in the week. Um if Eva has difficulty with more nuanced communication, like not being able to, you know, read subtext in
Mm.
communication, uh she didn't understand what Star was trying to tell her,
Mm.
or Star wasn't able to communicate her message to Eva.
In a way that Eva would be able to understand it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But then again, Star did say that she has a relative who's also in the spectrum. So
yeah,
she sort of has experience with it. I'm not sure if it's
yeah,
exactly the same as Eva, right? But
yeah. Which is why like I haven't been able to watch back the episode. Which is why I was wondering like how she
mm,
gave Eva the idol, whether or not she was direct about it, and
mm-hmm.
whether or not she was direct about the expectation of reciprocity.
Mm, from my fuzzy memory, uh, oh, it
Because I don't think she was.
yeah, I think that she was sincere about giving Eva the idol. That's for sure. I am not sure if the implied request for reciprocity was clear
Mhm.
in, yeah, or if, yeah, as presented, or if it was really there. But yeah,
Yeah,
anyone, yeah, the nuance would have been there probably, and then her offering that would probably be her saying, you know what, we had our differences in the past, but we can start fresh, and I hope that you've got my back.
yeah,
Yeah, but that's from my fuzzy memory.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's, I don't know, kind of sad in a way,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like Star wasn't able to communicate what she was trying to communicate in that way.
yeah. I saw a bit of her exit interview on Rap, and
Mm.
it seems as if she was getting overwhelmed by all of the things that she needed to think about. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, I just caught the first few moments of her conversation with Rob's sister Nino, and she was like, "You have to think about this. You have to think about that." Yeah, it seemed as if, and just by watching Star, that the gears in her head actually spin very fast. It
Yeah.
might be too fast for her to catch up, right?
Mm.
So she probably got overwhelmed by a lot of things. That's why, not unless she gets in a controlled environment like a confessional or a tribal, that's when she's able to express everything properly. But if she's in camp interacting with many different personalities whom she probably has, okay, the value of this person is this, the value of this person is this, there's so many variables that's going on, it's overwhelming her.
Hmm.
And that's probably why she wasn't able to directly or indirectly signal to Eva to have her back as
That is so interesting because like she has the vibe of being a very sort of intuitive survivor player, but then like somebody that plays survivor with their gut and not like
well.
what Americans and what reality show people mean when they say play with their gut, right? Like she seemed like the type of person that should be able to play with her gut, but then it didn't. Turns out that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sad that we lost someone who's good for TV, in
Yeah.
the moments that we saw of her. And I wish that they could have at the very least kept with their original tradition of showing the backstory of the person before getting them out, so that we could have seen what Star was really up to outside of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So have we seen any of those this season? Not as much, right? I think
Yeah.
they're starting to phase that out.
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah.
We don't need we don't need those sob stories.
Yeah, or maybe she could, and that's also probably also the case that she never really connected with anyone. She never
Mm.
told anyone her story, not like Kyle and Joe conversation in the last episode, right? And that's
Yeah.
what formed their bond. And I'm not sure if Kyle and Mitch also had a similar conversation to warrant Mitch blowing up about not being chosen to go to reward, right? Uh, because have they ever worked together like as a tight pair? They haven't, right?
I don't think so.
So yeah, there's some questions there that about the behavior of Mitch. Right?
Mm.
So yeah, yeah, sad for Star. But I think that one of the first things that she said the exit interview was that she was relieved to have been voted out again because of all of the things that she had to think about while she
Yeah.
was on the island. Yeah.
She has a what's it? She has a career as like one of the Survivor talking heads.
Mm,
You know, like he's probably gonna get a lot of requests for cameo on cameo,
yeah.
and you know she's
Yeah.
probably gonna be like a staple on like the podcasts and stuff.
Hmm. I mean, for her not to have a lot of exposure throughout the season, and then for people to still gravitate towards her, to like her, to root for her, that says a lot about her personality. You know,
Yeah,
she's definitely gonna be one of the more famous castaways for this season.
yeah, yeah. There's that Star Updates Twitter.
Yeah.
He gives me Survivor Sucks vibes. If you remember Survivor Sucks from back in the day.
Mm. And yeah, and Star updates isn't Star; it's her fans,
Yeah,
right? So that shows you that people actually felt seen because of her, probably,
yeah,
right? Because they had someone like them. Okay, it's Star. It's sad that we really didn't get to see her play.
yeah. Like like I said, man, it's like Survivor Sucks or Vote for the Worst, like those sort those sorts of websites from
Mm.
all the way back when, where it's just like fans of the show that feel like that want to have a meme, basically create a meme, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, let's move on
the
to the
star
next.
that's shown too bright. Burned out.
Burned out, became a falling star. Uh, and so we go to survivors of the week. Castaway of the week. Who do you have?
Joe.
Joe. Yep. Definitely did show more of a strategic side for this episode, and he tried to. Well, it was clocked by it was telegraphed by Mary. I mean, Mary saw it coming that he was managing her,
Mm.
right? So, yeah, but he definitely is a challenge beast, and he's a challenge beast that I want to root for because he's one of those cool dads. I mean, I don't know if I can root for. I couldn't root for David the same way I was rooting for a Jonathan Young, for some reason.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Joe's more relatable than Jonathan.
Yeah.
The same thing with David. Like Jonathan and David are quite similar in that way that they
Mm.
aren't, you know,
Yeah.
they're
No.
nice guys that aren't as easy to kind of relate to.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's caster of the week. Who do you have as goat of the week?
Mitch,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, come on, man. So sad.
Yeah. Well, here's one from all the way from left field for me. My goat of the week, David. I mean, those pseudo serious looks from the jury. That was just got me. He looked all the more like a sore loser, right?
Uh,
Yeah, it didn't do well for him. I don't know if he was trying to like mug it for the camera so that he'll get like more offers to be a stuntman. I don't know, to act in more films in the future. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't I don't know. It didn't work. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm, yeah. That's the we've got purple of the week.
I'm gonna say Star. You
Mm,
know, purple in this not only purple of the week, but sort of purple of the past like couple of months.
mm,
You know, because like we alluded to earlier, she doesn't seem to have like I can't tell you very much about her. You know, she doesn't have very much story in this,
yeah.
or what story she does have doesn't quite click with me. Doesn't quite make sense
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me.
She
I
is.
was hoping.
She's charming. She's charismatic whenever she gets to talk, but we don't really know who she is. That's what you said.
Yeah. And
For
I
me,
was hoping that
mm,
down the road, right,
mm,
like she makes it to the final three and ends up, you know, winning or something like, and you know that's when we finally get it all like tied together somehow.
mhm,
But no,
mhm.
uh,
Yeah. Oh, for me, my purple of the week. It's also still about Star, but it's a little bit more specific. It's Star's
mm-hmm.
challenge credentials. She has no challenge credentials at all. Like I said, she couldn't even. She found it hard to balance the first block for this immunity challenge, and she couldn't do water. Uh, it's sad. Yeah, but she did promise that the next time that Uncle JP gives her a call, she will be an Olympic swimmer by then.
Mm.
Right? Yeah.
Uncle JP ain't gonna call.
Let's go to whose line is it actually? Well, for this episode, it was Star. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, my enemies a platen. That's actually a pretty good hook. Uh,
it is.
yeah,
It is.
we did not see who said. Did you hear anyone say the title for next episode? The title for
No,
next episode is Coconut Etiquette. Who do you think would say that line?
that sounds like a star line.
But she's not part of it anymore.
Flashback. It's a flashback. I don't know, probably it's probably like Camilla. It
Camilla,
sounds
okay.
like something that Camilla would say. Camilla,
Mm,
Shaheen,
mm,
maybe Mary.
mm.
But I'm gonna say Camilla.
Camilla. Yeah. But going to your flashback thing, I my first note about it is it could have been Chrissy because she was the one who was like all over safe or like eating more than her share of the food, right?
Yeah.
But that would be too far a flashback. So for me, you did mention him also. So for me, it sounds like Shaheen. It could be Shaheen. So yeah. So that's coconut etiquette.
This is a callback to like banana etiquette. I mean,
Probably.
it's obviously a callback to banana
Mm.
etiquette, but then like
Hmm.
what? Like what's their context going to be?
Yeah,
Like
and
who's
yeah,
gonna
and
say it, right?
why would there need to be a coconut etiquette when there's coconut all over the place? Right?
Yeah.
Or is it, would the coconut etiquette be if you're the one who opens it, you get to drink it first or something? I don't know. Didn't something like that happen before? Like, okay, you opened it, you drink it or something in the last season or something like that.
Well, the thing that I remember was Rome.
Hmm.
Like I think I remember Rome and Asia where he was like just eating fish in front of her.
And spitting bones on her back.
uh like in the moment, right? This is why I like Rome so much, right? It's like in the moment when you're watching the episode, you're like, "Damn, what a dick!" But then, like when you when you talk about his antics, like once everything has sort of settled in, you're like, "Wow, that guy was really funny."
Now imagine an episode or a season where you've got Rome, Star, and Carolyn in the same tribe,
And Q,
and
and Q,
Q. Oh my god, and Q.
that guy had better be on Survivor 50.
That is gonna be explosive.
A lot of the other ones I was thinking of were Star.
Mhm.
You know, because she had so many good lines here. Um, for irony, man, the revolution will be televised,
Oh, that's actually pretty nice. That's actually pretty
right?
nice.
Because it wasn't televised. Like, whoa, it was like the revolution was squashed before it became anything.
Hmm. They didn't even get a chance to turn.
Yeah.
Right.
Spirit goes a long way. I also quite like that
Hmm.
line. You know, that that sounds like the debut album of the new era. Right? Spirit goes a long way.
True.
Uh, or hit me where it hurts, Uncle JP.
Yeah. I mean, Star for sure has a lot of quotable quotes.
Quote
But that's the
machine.
thing. Yeah, she has a lot of quotable quotes. I think that it's like when we when we used to do theater, keep on alluding to this, ladies and gentlemen, because Jaro and I are it doesn't look it, but we are sort of theater kids. Uh, yeah. So yeah, so Star is like that play, that production where you have good moments in the play, but they don't quite add up to the entire show being a good show. You just
Yeah,
have a lot of moments that happen that give you a lot of oohs and ahs, but the entire thing, if you really take a good look at it, doesn't really add up too much. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. For me, I'm going with her other song, the song in the end. It's time to go. Yeah, that's my what it
Mm.
should have been. Yeah, but
Chicken and
Spirit
waffles could have been.
chicken and waffles. They're savory and sweet, and all I wanna eat. Oh gosh, Shaheen. Those are the first three songs in the New Era album. Spirit
Yeah.
goes a long way. All right. Anyway, but oh my gosh. Any final things to say about the episode?
I hope
Tito
the season gets
JA.
better, man. I hope the season gets better.
Yeah. Well, for me, this episode was well. You're right. It's most likely colored by the fact that Joe got a really good feature in this episode. But yeah, this
Yeah.
episode was pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, moving forward, we hope that it goes up, right, to a good climax in the final three.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that is it for tonight's episode. Though we would greatly appreciate it if you hit the like button so we don't get voted off the channel. At any rate, this has been Joel Parkon.
Hit the like button where it hurts Uncle
Yeah, and we do hope to see you on the council again soon. Until then, stay safe, mga kalaro. The Titos have spoken.